Chapter 8. Last week got kind of intense. We were talking about now faith and actually deciding to do something right now. And when you decide to do something right now, it puts a pressure on any excuse that you have that you haven't done it up to this point. Right? And we talked about, like, you take cigarettes and you go, yeah, I want to quit. Well, I want to, and I'm doing it right now, is two different things. Right? Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. If you let hope come alive in you really strongly, it will cause you then to turn around like, I think I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to throw these cigarettes out right now. It's so jiggy when that happens. You're kind of like, what am I doing? I actually decided to do this right now. It's like staying up at night and watching the infomercials about the workout machines that you can order. You're like, yeah, that's a good one. That's good. And you're doing that kind of stuff. Or you can order this food and, set it up, but you're really not deciding to do anything right now. In fact, you can order one of those workout machines because people do that all the time. I gleaned from that from my weight room. I'm just like, yeah, they got it. They had it all year, but nobody's used it. And so now they're selling it to me at a garage sale for $25. So I'm like, score, right? So, because you got to get up and you got to go do it now. If you're going to do it, you got to make a plan now. People without a plan have a plan to fail. So when do we make the plan? Let's make the plan right now. You might not know all the ins and outs of it, but something's got to happen. Make as much as you can on the plan, right? So there's something about that. Now, Romans 8 talks about when you live according to the flesh versus when you live according to the Spirit. So the now kind of faith is a spirit thing. If you try to do that in the flesh, you have to be really angry, really scared, really something, right? We'll pull a lever. Like if somebody ticks you off, you're like, that's it, I'm moving out. Well, okay, you're going to decide to do that right now. Well, that's only because you're angry, right? To decide something in the spirit, I don't have to be mad. I don't have to have all kinds of emotion. I just know. I'm just like, no, this is the right thing to do. I need to do this right now. And your brain can get jiggy about it, but in your gut, right here, the heart and the stomach brain goes, yeah, we better go do this. But it's not done out of anger or those types of things. So verse 5 of chapter 8 says, for those who are living according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, which gratify the body. So if we set the things that our flesh wants, that's only to satisfy really what our body wants. It would make us feel better. We could have fun. Any of that kind of stuff. And so if our mind is set on that, it's really difficult then, if we've been practicing that mindset, to be like, I'm going to have a different mindset. I'm coming over to the Spirit, and I'm going to do stuff. I don't know what that stuff is. I've never really operated in the Spirit and thinking like that. And so we just go back to where our mind was set. For those who are living according to the flesh, set their minds on things of the flesh, which gratify the body. But those who are living according to the Spirit, set their minds on the things of the Spirit, which is His will and His purpose. The word will, when you say, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, means His precepts, His commands, and His ways of doing things. It doesn't mention us once. Like we're out of that equation, right? So if we're in the Spirit on certain things, we're not actually thinking about what we want. We're not trying to gratify our flesh in any way. It's like we already know He's probably going to tell us something outside of that way of thinking. And it gets uncomfortable. That's why people don't seek Him, because if you seek Him, you find Him, and then He talks to you. You're like, oh, man. And so prayer is not a big thing in churches the way that it should be, right? Because if you seek Him, you'll find Him. If you knock, the door will be open. If you ask, He's going to answer the question, right? So it's like I've said before, if I walk out of my closet and I'm like, honey, do you like the way I look in this outfit? And he says no, I ask the question. They go, fine, you're always mean to me. You're blah, blah, blah. I ask the question. And so if I'm projecting that He has to answer me a certain way, then it's really not His answer. He's answering because he knows I'm going to get mad if he doesn't say that thing, right? And so guys can't win on this because even when they give you the answers you want, now you're mad because you're just saying that. So it's like, well, what do you want me to, so don't ask me that question. So, if you got a new outfit or there's something, or it's, you're hormonal or something like that, they just like work in the garage. They're like, I'm out, right? And there's other things that I could give comparisons to that really are just us looking for an answer, but we don't want to know. Like, I'm going to ask the question, you give me an answer, but I don't really want to know. Because if I know, then I can't not know, then that requires something of me. So then I have the choice. Do I go with the mindset of the flesh, or do I go with the mindset of the spirit? Well, I don't know what that looks like. Well, it described it. If we're going with the mindset of the flesh, we already know it's going to gratify the body. Our dirt and water is going to go, yeah, that's a great idea. And it's just going to get pumped, and there's going to be this passion behind it that's like, that's a great idea. When you follow the things of the Spirit, it's His will and His purpose. He's got a purpose for that. It can actually be scary when He says, no, this is actually what I want you to do over here. This is the purpose you were created. You're like, right? I was just talking about this with the girls. There's these video games that, I've watched my grandkids and other kids play that literally the creatures that come out that you're supposed to be, warring with or whatever, that's how they breathe. The whole time. And it's just like the absolute picture of either controlling or anxiety. And that's what I think of when you're trying to go somewhere that He has a purpose for you, but you actually really don't want to know that. I just want His will for my life, though. Okay. Isn't that like the purpose of why He's telling you this? See, we get caught in that spot. So we can separate that out. He gives us a really simple way. If we set our mind, which means we don't wait for God to set our mind. He gives us the options, and then we choose that, and we set our mind. Choose life or death. I think I'm going with life. Then I set my mind on life. It's set, sorry. It's like, you ever have those thermostat wars with people in the house? We don't have that war because Vern sets I'm like, you set it wherever you want, honey. If it's cooler, I'll put a sweater on. If it's, whatever, I'm not a temperature guru. I don't really care. It's like, whatever. So he just sets that, and everybody knows he sets that. But everybody also knows, don't play with the thermostat because it's set. Right? And there's a reason for it. And he calculates that. Like right before we go to bed, he sets it at a different thing because it's going to cool off the house, but you actually can save energy if you run it a certain way. And he's all into that. So I'm like, you go. Save us some money, right? But you don't want people messing with where it's set. And you'll know if they're messing with it. Right? Suddenly it gets too hot or it gets too cold. Well, the same thing. You got options. You've got something that's a temperature gauge of how you feel about something or whatever. But you have to set it in the Spirit. And once it's set, it's like, well, too late. I already set it on that. It's 70. There it is. Too late. Don't touch it. Because that's where my mind is set. Now, some people would say that's being stubborn. Well, you can be stubborn like that, if you're in the flesh. But if the Lord told you to set your mind in the Spirit, and it is of His Word, and it's of the Spirit, you don't move from that. Now, Proverbs says, he who stiffeneth his neck often, this is King James, that's why I have to take time, it's a tongue twister, stiffeneth his neck often, will suddenly be cut off, and that without remedy. See, I had to translate right there. You were like, you had me there for a second, and now it's gone. Basically means the stiff neck is the sign of being stubborn. Like, I ain't doing it. Well, if you keep telling God that, I ain't doing it, I ain't doing that. Proverbs lays it out that he who does that, you're going to be cut off. And that you ain't going to be able to fix it. Now it's too late. Your stubbornness took you down somewhere. Isn't it God's punishing you? You're punishing yourself because you just took yourself out of the hand of His covering. Out of stubbornness, and then you're cut off, and that without remedy. Yucky. So now the mind of the flesh is death, both now and forever, because it pursues sin. So we know the flesh mind pursues sin, but the mind of the Spirit is life and peace, the spiritual wellness that comes from walking with God both now and forever. There's a spiritual wellness. It's healthy. And that's where clinically, all these different facilities where you can't talk about God, but you're going to teach recovery, give you just enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be whole. Because if you don't come out of thinking about, coming out of the flesh way of thinking and over to the Spirit, I don't care what step you're on, it ain't going to work. So we have to have that right in the middle of everything. But the mind of the Spirit is life and peace, the spiritual wellness that comes from walking with God, both now and forever. If we just took that section and told people, okay, you're going into recovery, this is what you need. Go more spirit than flesh. Set your mind more spirit than flesh. I'm not talking about flaky, religiosity where people are just spiritual and they just see all these angels and and you're like, okay, once your life reflects that, come back to me, right? I want to see some fruit in your life. If you got all this activity going on, you ever talk to somebody, they have all this activity, and God showed me, and then I had a vision, and nobody's getting saved, nobody's getting healed or whatever, but you have all this activity. Something's out of balance. Because the commission for us is to go. And we go, the signs and the wonders follow that. And it's sweet when you get a vision. It's sweet when you get a prophecy. And it's sweet when you have all those things. And that's just additive, frosting on the cake that helps guide you into that. But you're stepping into that because you chose to go into all the world and preach the gospel. You chose to serve. You chose to believe. You chose all of these different things. So, so now the mind of the flesh is death. Verse 6, verse 7, the mind of the flesh with its sinful pursuits is actively hostile to God. So what? I know I can be fleshly, but I don't think my mind's hostile toward God. What does it take to be hostile? Ever think about that? If he is holy and he's set apart from the way the world does things, and I just go, I don't care, I'm doing my own thing, it takes a certain amount of hostility to do that. You are talking to your Creator. Whether to his face and saying, or you're like, well, he'll just watch me do this. We'll see how long it takes. I'll prove to him that I can or whatever. Or we just disassociate from God. It's a hostile move. It's a hostile takeover. The devil's like, let's do this thing, right? So now the mind of the flesh is death. And then verse 7, the mind of the flesh with its sinful pursuits, it's pursuing something that has to do with sin, is actively hostile toward God. It does not submit itself to God's law, since it cannot. So now in recovery, you ever notice when you're dealing with addiction to begin with, you'll have a thought that says, man, I feel like using right now, right? And there's a whole plan within seconds. Scenarios of how you're going to do that comes to place. That's a pursuit. Yeah, I probably could go down on the corner because I know Steve is there. He probably could get something from Jimmy. Jimmy. He usually has some good stuff. No, I can't be thinking. It's trying to pursue something. And you can have a thought, I feel lonely tonight. Just that thought, and be like, I don't even know if I like that guy, but he was kind to me. And maybe I don't know, maybe I should go see him. Maybe you're about to go into pursuing. Because your maybe will switch into, I'm going to do this. And you'll set your mind. In the beginning part of it is contemplation. And then once you're getting all dialed up, you're in pursuit. Huh? You've already set your mind on no, I'm just going to ride the edge of this. This isn't really going to happen. But I like the euphoria that comes with riding the edge of it. No, you're going to do it. You only ride the edge of whatever it is that you're sort of pursuing, but not really. You'll slide right into that pursuit right now. And it's because you're slowly going over to the way of the flesh, which is a sinful way. Well, I haven't done anything yet. Because it starts in the mind, which really comes up from the heart. What's already in our heart, well, those thoughts will be like, yeah, that'd be a great idea. I mean, it is Friday night. There's something about Friday night. I mean, we are conditioned. You're told it at work, it's preached to us. You're like, oh, it's Monday, and then we have names for that. And it's Wednesday, and there's a name for that. Friday, And then the weekend's just sass altogether many times. Right? And then we got to pull it back together because it's Monday. Who trained us that? Where did we get that from? So even in school, it's talked about like that. Only 3 more days, and then it's the weekend, right? Because we can't wait to get out of there, And then that culture's into something different. Then we start setting everything for the weekend. We're in pursuit of the party because it's the weekend. Huh? It messes with our finances. For sure. Because you can lay a budget out on a Monday. Yeah, this is what I need to pay for the car. I got to have this. I might have to get a part-time job to make this happen over here. If I'm going to homeschool, then I got to, you have all that. And you're like, whoo, that's a lot. But there's something about the pursuit of the weekend that can suck that budget dry. And you're like, all right, now we have to reset it. I had my mind set, and now it's not working, right? And so this scripture is powerful when it comes to recovering from anything, from trauma. It goes along with the now concept. But you got to catch yourself. You got to know if you're thinking flesh versus if you're thinking spirit. Otherwise, you're just thinking, wandering around, and next thing you know, you're pursuing something. You're like, I don't even know how I got here. You ever have that? Where you're like, how did I end up here? Or you're walking out of the store, you're like, how did I buy all these clothes? It's more so when you get home, the euphoria of the sale or whatever it is, and then you come in and you're like, I didn't think I bought that. I guess I did. Like, this is $300 worth of, do I even need this? Right? Because you said, I'm just going in there for a shirt. You had your mind set. I heard a lady when she was in Target, she was walking around and she said, I never leave here, under $100. And the other lady said, well, what'd you come in here for? Some makeup. Just needed a tube or whatever. I cannot just not fill the cart. So when I was a teenager, maybe, if I had money to burn, see, we have that kind of sayings about it. Well, if you got money to burn, that means there's a passion about, like, it's in my pocket right now. I got to do something with this. Like, how much could I, and your mind will go in pursuit. You are looking for something to buy. Do you need something? No, I want something. So we have had to really reduce down to control all that and to steward it properly, to steward the finances. Where I don't go into like Walmart or whatever, just because it's a good day and I just feel like going to Walmart. No, I'm on a mission. And in fact, they would probably say I'm more like a guy, because women, we like to touch everything and look at everything. Like, I'm on a mission. It's aisle 4. I got this store memorized. I am going in there. We're going to get one of these or whatever. And I'm out. Like, I'm out. Don't try to tell me about the stuff that I need that I don't need. I just don't need it. Because the whole thing is trying to go flesh. Flesh, your flesh needs this. Come over here, your flesh wants this. You didn't even know the thing was there before. They got so many trinkets or whatever, you didn't go in, even with knowledge that it was going to be there, and suddenly you need it. But you didn't need it before. It's hard. And the more emotionally low you're at, the more your brain will tell you when you're in an atmosphere like that, like, I need this stuff because I'm trying to feel good right now. See, it's a way of disassociation. And for a moment, we get a high off of buying something, or we got this new thing, or we're going to try out something or whatever. I've done that years ago with toys and little kids, because I get excited to buy toys for kids. My goodness, it's really, keep me away from those aisles because I'm like, oh, this would, I know the little kid at church. He really okay, walk. No. Unless the Lord's telling me to go do it. But, sometimes you get excited enough that you're looking at these toys and you saw the commercial, right? The car goes down like this and around or whatever. Put it together. It don't go down like that. It's a piece of junk. It's very disappointing. I hate that if it happens at Christmas. And so I've just become more anal about no, I need to know how this is made. I want to know that this is working. I research it online and you think, well, it's just a toy. Just grab it and go, not anymore. No, it's a piece of junk most of the time. And so, and I don't want, when I walk through, if my grandkids are with or whatever, Grandma, I want this or whatever. Well, let's take a look at it. That'll be one of the first things I say, let's take a look at it. And it's really interesting. I've got two that when I've taken them and done that I've said, no, Grandma, I think that will break. See, I don't think this part works really good here. Or I heard, my friend had that, and this doesn't work the same way. Walk away and move on. But you can teach poverty to your kids to help them to stay out of that. Well, poverty is of the flesh too. You can stand in line, we can't afford that. No, you can't have that. Put that back. We can't afford that. You're just grinding that into their brain. That's how you're setting their mind. Well, whether we can afford it right now or not is not the issue. We're choosing not to buy it right now. We don't have to have it at this moment, but let's pray about it and we'll see what happens. And it's crazy how the child will leave and all of a sudden they don't want that thing anymore. They want this other thing. And we're just like that. So to control our physical body, we have to say, what's my mindset like on this? What's my mindset at weddings? It's the craziest thing sometimes. I'll be with people I go to a wedding, it's a wedding. I just go. I don't change me. I'm just showing up for a wedding. But there's other people that it's their mindset is this is a wedding. You're not in the wedding party. But now somehow you have to present yourself at this wedding. I have to go buy a whole new blah, 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 because I'm going to a wedding. Sure you don't have anything in the closet right now? No. No, I'm not even going to look because, no, this is Sarah's wedding and I'm going to look good. See, we're feeding the flesh. Now, does that mean you should never buy something new? No. It comes to you different, though, when your mind is set on the Spirit. You say, Lord, what do you think about me getting a new outfit right now? Wow, that just sounds like you're being controlled by a God. No, I'm following the Spirit. Somebody who talks like that is the guy that went and bought a boat without telling his wife. You don't have to check with God. No, you don't. Consequences follow, my friend. Right? Now suddenly there's no grocery money and you didn't realize the insurance was going to be as high as blah, 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 blah. Because impulse buying or impulse eating or impulse anything is that flesh part that goes, must have now. Need now. And if you felt lonely and you feel like that loneliness has been there for quite some time and you're not really sure how to get that need met by God, His Word, by being involved, by serving, all of those different things, you'll save up that loneliness. A lot of times that's what Friday night is for. I'm saving up this loneliness, but then I'm going to unleash the Kraken, and we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who I'm going to end up with. Huh? Yeah. And so part of it is the lack that causes us to feel like we now need to become God and answer our own need. God can't meet that need. I have to meet that need. I got to go find me a guy. I got to go find a woman. I got to go try something new. I've about had it with my job and the stress and everything. See, the lack of what's in our life will cause us to crave something and we want it right now. Isn't it interesting? The flesh wants it right now. But the now kind of faith is where the Spirit says, no, we're going to do this right now. The flesh goes, I don't want that. How's that going to help me? See, it's now on both sides. Except for the kingdom of darkness and sin itself is like, you need to eat this right now. It's like a compelling, it's seeking it. It is in pursuit of it. Sometimes just knowing there's a cheesecake in the fridge, your subconscious will be like, don't forget the cheesecake. You're like, I just mowing the lawn. Shut up. You know? But suddenly, cheesecake. You'll just hear the whisper like, cheesecake. It's just enough that if you don't eat your meal, the cheesecake will come first, which is backwards. Because if you were satisfied by a salad or something like that, you wouldn't be craving the cheesecake the same. And you wouldn't eat half the pan. You'd just have a little slice. Or you'd walk away and be like, I don't even know if I'm hungry for that right now. But it's the meeting of the need where I meet it. I decide how fast this thing is going to go. Well, how much is your mind set on it? And how do you reset that? So let's say the cheesecake is haunting you. Cheesecake. You know, you can hear it in the subconscious, like, you say certain words in your mouth. Now, some people, they don't even like cheesecake. But if I said something else, you'd be like, yeah. So there's something about it that there's a sensation in the body that need got met before inappropriately. There's that you can say Friday night, and that might remind you of some sexual encounters that you had where you met that need inappropriately. I've been lonely. I don't know where I'm going in life. I just need to find that guy, that chick, and once I find it, whoo, solves everything, said the person who's trying to take care of themselves. And what we're saying when we do that is we're like, because I don't really know if God's going to take care of me. So I got to step it up. You know, God only helps those that help themselves. You know? Hezekiah 28:17. It's not even in there, you know? So, but there's something to it where we have these sayings to support it. So the greater your trauma, the greater the need, the greater your flesh goes, can we meet that right now? Like, can we get this gone right now? Can I feel good in the moment right now? Can we do that now? That's why addiction and pain are like this. Devil set it up that way. Because most addictive vices are, like the Bible says, stay away from sorcery. Have nothing to do with it. Well, I don't know anybody in my life that, you know, is like a sorcerer. You know, they're just wielding their little wand and, you know, creating things or whatever. No, the word sorcery there means drugs. And so addictive behavior. So to stay away from it, well, what's causing me to want to pursue it? There's a lack in my life. Where'd that lack come from? Where I was touched by sin or I participated in it. And now I feel flawed. Now I feel empty. There's something that, I'm so tired of putting up with this thing over here. Here, let me meet my need. I know you want to meet my needs, but later, because sometimes it just takes so long. Right? Within seconds, our brain will say, sometimes it's just so long. Because otherwise, my need would have been met already. But the patience that's in the fruit of the Spirit that's already inside of you has to be tapped into. Long-suffering has to be tapped into. Right? When you tap that, you're tapping joy. And it's like, no, I'm okay. Even if I have to wait for the right guy or the right chick, I'm okay. But if you burst out and just pick the first person coming along, like meet the need now, it comes back to bite you, doesn't it? And it actually creates a more deeper hunger for and a greater need. And now we're like, why did I do that? We condemn ourselves, which makes us feel less than. And then we walk around in a greater debt. And yet he wants to add to us. And it's very much like stewarding finances. You can steward your emotions. What are you in pursuit of? Sometimes people will come to recovery groups in pursuit of getting healed tonight, which is kind of a now faith. But they're doing it with the backlash idea of, that way I don't have to go through the whole process that so-and-so went through. Like, let's just get it done, right? Pray over me, Pastor Mary. Let's get it done tonight. And so somehow I'm just going to like reconstruct your whole brain and all your mindsets. And then when that doesn't happen, we're mad at God. And he's saying, no. It didn't go in pretty, so it's not going to come out pretty. It took time for you to get wired this way. So now rewiring is also going to take some time. I'm all about the miraculous. I mean, I've met people that prayed over people that they were a heroin addict for years and boom, gone. Woo, exciting. It's not the natural. But they still have to walk through the fire, don't they? To get sanctified. There's still nobody gets out of it. And so the Christianity that is presented where you get out of it, people have looked for that, heard about it, got hurt, moved away from it, and be like, I don't even know if God's real. Oh, he's real. And he sanctifies through fire. And what he does is he's changing our mindset. So whatever that next thing is that you're doing, what's your mindset? Well, my mindset on how it's never going to work for me because it never works for me. So why are we even having this conversation? I mean, nothing works out for me. It's so stupid. It's been this way since I was. La, 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 right? And we'll have this whole story. Well, your mind is set on that, but yet there's this little area that says, but I want it different than what I'm saying. But you can't have what you speak against. It's a biblical rule. You can't have what you speak against, and you can't prosper beyond your confession. That's the lottery. Right? Where people just walk in, they buy a ticket, like, oh, I'm a millionaire, and they've proven less than 2 years, they're back in the same poverty because they didn't learn how to balance it. They didn't grow into it. There wasn't a thing there. They pursued something, and we began to learn if so-and-so got $1 million, then there's got to be those fast answer ways. We can go through the drive-through for the fast food, the fast this, because I want to meet my need right now. You ever get mad going through a drive-through that took more than 3 minutes? When you think about that, it's like, are you kidding me? That's how trained our flesh is now. And we can pick up the phone and check out all kinds of stuff and fast. And the more this gets faster, the more we think things should come faster to us. Because we can move this around and make things happen fast. By golly, I should be able to just move around my recovery. There it is. It's false. Because you're moving around your heart and your mind and your mindset. I remember going to a recovery group because it was an easier one. And I want to go to one that, like, there was some kind of pressure because that's dumb, stupid. Even the way you say stupid gets drug out, like, that's so stupid. Because there's a pressure of truth there, and it requires you to slow down enough to grab it, but I don't want to grab it because I want to still meet my need right now, just not meet it so intensely I get arrested, or meet it so intensely, I get in trouble. I just want to ride the edge of sort of meeting it, but still doing this. Ever try that? We've all tried that in some way. That's like being sort of a Christian. I'm a Christian on Sundays, but then when Friday hits, I just do my own thing and meet my own need. But then when I'm in church, I'm like, oh, that's right. I better make God happy. And he wants to make you happy. Everything he did 2,000 years ago was to make you happy and meet your need. You see it? So now faith, some of the questions that have come in is if I choose to do something and believe for something, right now, that now thing, what if I have to wait? No. What will happen to you if you have to wait? There's a belief, there's a mindset that says, I will surely die. If I have to be alone like this another day, I will surely die. Will you? How did some people make it through the Holocaust and still come out, have a family, and raise kids? I'm not downplaying what you're going through, but it all has to do with the mindset. It's the mindset and once you figure out what that is, what is it pursuing? Almost like take the flesh and separate it from you. Because that's what the Word of God does. It has its own inherent power, Isaiah says. It goes in and it divides. So it's going to divide your heart away from your flesh, spirit and flesh. And then you go, oh, that's what God wants. This is what my flesh wants. But to begin with, when you don't know him or you don't have the Word, it's all meshed together. And then you're like, I don't know what to do. And we say, I don't know a lot. I don't know. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. But as soon as the Word goes in, once you know you can't not know, it divides, and suddenly, shoot, it's too late now. I know. I've clearly seen that this is evil and this is good. Choose you this day whom you're going to serve. Now I have to make a choice. But if I make the righteous choice, how long is this going to take again? Like, do I have to like wait, or like what am I doing? Is this going to be like a thing? I need to get in the Word. I have to go to Bible study. I have to attend stuff to change. Like, isn't there something, like, wouldn't he love me enough to just give me this? Come on. And then we get mad at ourselves for getting ourselves into the spot, or we'll get mad at the person who sinned against us that got us into the spot, or we'll get mad at God. You don't love me because you make me wait, and my flesh hates it. If you loved me, you'd just. How hard can it be? I mean, you created the universe. If you're real, and then we say manipulative stuff, like he's like, don't hurt me like that. You know, he's just like, you are throwing a 2-year-old fit right now. That's what we sound like. I don't care what our age is. But, you know, we're arching back and doing the, you know, and he's. So, if we live according to the flesh, we set their minds on the things of flesh, which gratify the body. So here's the thing. I could go down, and we could be so gut-wrenching honest, and I could say, what gratifies your body? That's really personal. But what's crazy is what gratifies her body is going to have a different variance from what gratifies you, because you will pick the first thing that you think, if you're going to feed your flesh, it's going to make you feel good in this moment. Like, let's just do that now thing in the flesh. Well, what is that now thing for you? It's going to be different for everyone in this room. It's how you've learned to satiate. You know, like a baby will suck on their fingers or their thumb, or, you know, play with their hair after a while, or the tip of their blanket, or they hold something or whatever. It's how we've learned to satiate. And so if I take the blanket away from a toddler and then I say, you know, because they don't understand spirit and flesh, they got one thing in mind right now: need blanket for my flesh right now. It's not a spiritual thing. It's not like, I need that anointed blanket. Thank you, grandmother. I now feel closer to God. No, it's like must have. That's my blanket. That's my kiki, you know? And so if we do that as adults, it's like, oh, they have my kiki. And your flesh then right away will say, must have now, right? So it's called satiation. It's how we satiate. Like I said last week, just having something, you don't even have to have the cigarette lit. If it's just sitting on your lip, there's a satiation that comes off that. It's like, I'm okay now, got my cigarette. Sometimes people will roll them up, you know, like in the 50s. They still do that, roll them or whatever. Chicks will stick them down their bra or something. You're carrying something that feels like your kiki or your nookie. Is that too blunt? No, and sometimes then what happens is we will want the need met so bad that we go into such a pursuit, we lose sight of ourselves. Like, I see a lot of the young chicks wanting, you know, and they can be in junior high. Sometimes they're fourth graders, you know, wearing these hiked up shorts and doing the whole thing or whatever. Are all of them wanting to have sex right now? No, they want to be noticed right now. They want credit right now. They want to feel okay. They're not sure if they're okay. And then they'll go from shame to pride. And then they learn how to strut their stuff, walking down and strutting their stuff. And they get really offended if a guy looks at them. That pig. What? He's a pig, but you're hanging the cleave out. The cleavage is just like hanging out. But he's a pig. See, we're trying to get a need met right now. And I don't want all that. I just want you to say I'm okay, that I'm pretty, and that's the trap. And it'll start, everything from Hollywood to whatever. Well, you'll see someone's getting credit. That person's getting credit. Look at all the likes that person got. I got to get likes too. So are we going to forfeit who we are as a person? We start out trying to get likes a certain way. Here's the picture I drew and nobody likes it. And suddenly we're stripping down to hardly anything. So someone will like us. I got like 50 likes off that. Then you get high off the likes. It's a form of addiction. And it's here now. It's here now. That's why people go, well, you can't take your phone away from your teenager. Well, part of that is the likes. Because the dopamine in their brain gets a hit every time they get a like. See, I'm okay. I'm okay. You take this social media, how much of it's even real? People aren't going to, they'll tell you things on there they would never say to your face, even if it's a compliment. So how real is that? Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, blah, 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 blah. But would they say that to your face and walk? No. But it's so easy to push a button and get you high. I can get you high. And then once you're the person getting high off of that, you will pursue more likes. That's what we're doing in so many different areas, and it's getting us in trouble because we actually don't believe God likes us. In fact, we've reduced it down that if I can get high off of somebody's comment, right? Even if we're like, he's a pig or she's so weird or whatever, but we still get high off the like. We're like, but that was kind of cool. We get high off of that. Then you go to approach God, and he died on the cross. His body was so mangled that they didn't even know if he was human. The Bible indicates that. I mean, it isn't this little streaming blood off of his, wrists and things like that. No, he was so mangled, and he was naked. Like the ultimate of like shaming, all of that kind of stuff. He takes on the sin of the world. He's experiencing everything all at once. The Father turns his back so that the job gets done, and he says, it is finished. I think that's the biggest like you can ever get. But now we've said, but I can't feel that in my flesh. I don't feel that in my flesh. That's just a story. But when this guy likes me, or so-and-so compliments me, or I strut into the bar on Friday night with my 11-inch heels. I don't think they make them that high, but it feels like it, And suddenly I'm different. I'm a different person than the person who was taking care of my 3-year-old today. Put him at the sitter, and now I'm a different person. And I'm strutting my stuff because I'm here to be liked when really I want to be loved. And you'll start out in a relationship, especially women will start out in a relationship where we'll be like, he really liked me. Because he's all over you. Right? Take you around, show you to people, whatever. But when that wanes, suddenly I'm not getting the euphoria. I'm not getting the dopamine anymore. I think we're falling out of love. Well, it started in lust to begin with. So this isn't falling out of love. You love somebody. I know couples that something happened, the person ended up in a wheelchair, and there is no sexual activity. There's no hot pursuit or whatever, but man, do they love each other. They're the best friends. Because it's not based on the like thing. Because the like is that instant high. The love is forever. Because God is love. See it? So, but if we set our mind toward, it's so long, I don't know if I can culture this love thing. I'm not even sure what he thinks about me. I have poor behaviors. He probably doesn't even like me or love me. I mean, we set our mind up like that. We're not good enough for God, all of those different things. And then it's so easy to get a like in so many different areas. I had a lady tell me, she said, when I was young, it was my job to turn men's heads when they were with their girlfriend. That was her whole thing on a Friday night, was like, I don't want to be with any of them. I just want them to look at me and think more of me than they do their girlfriend. Woo! They used to call that a prick tease. You ever hear that? Yeah. Gotta be a little older for that term. I don't think they use it anymore. There's some other words, but we're not going to say those right now. But there's something to verse 8, and those who are in the flesh, living a life that caters to sinful appetites. So there's an appetite that comes with I need a like. Like I'm hungry for it. I just want to be noticed. You take that same mentality. You come into this church the first time and Dave doesn't shake your hand. See, they don't like me here. I'm not coming back. That place is stupid. You're like trained. Because that man will love you. You call him, he will stick with you. He will speak the word over you. He'll pray. He'll be wondering, how are you doing? That's love. But I come in here and it just didn't seem like people liked me. I don't know. They walked away. They didn't ask what my name was. Ooh. See, because we're like trained. Sorry, but it's here, right? It's been here forever without phones. The queens of old wanted to be liked. The kings wanted to rule and be liked and have the most power. Satan himself wanted that, and that's how he got thrown down out of heaven. It's like, yeah, no, I love you enough to say no. And he got thrown down. Yeah? God already liked him. He created him. So sometimes we'll put ourselves in a position where we spend too much money because we're going for a like. We get the wrong car because we want to be noticed and be liked. We're doing certain things, dressing like another person. It's not even what we like to dress in, but we want to be liked because they seem to be liked. That's real red hot at school, you know. And I brought this up before. I remember years ago when Britney Spears had there's a certain kind of belt that had like sparkles in it. It was crazy. She did some concert, and then you'd show up for school for teachers' conference, and every girl that walked by had that belt. She banked off of that baby, right? But what that was is she's so liked, and I want to be liked too. No, I just like her music. No, you want to be liked too. She's worshipped. See, the world does not just listen to music. We pick people to worship and throw money at them. Right? And we like them. And we want them to notice us and like us because we're worshiping them when we raise them up. And then we'll stand in the audience. You ever see those videos? You're like, that lady looks like she's having a panic attack. Elvis, you know, those old videos of Elvis. They're like, oh, you know, and they're like having a meltdown. But they want him to notice them, like throw something my way so I know Elvis did this or so-and-so did that. And we do it with the stars of today. We raise them up. That's why they call it American Idol. Doesn't that bother you? American Idol? An idol's something you worship. It's not American people. It's not America's talent. Because everybody's got different talents. It's like, no, we're going to pick out who we're going to worship. So they have to have a certain look. And then we all get on that. We're going to determine if they're this and they're like that, they're going to get the most likes. Then they'll be our idol. Till when? You already forgot last year's. You ever notice that? forgotten already, just gone. We're like, who wasn't it? So-and-so. We don't even care anymore because we're on to the next thing to worship because it's an immediate gratification. So the whole key about tonight is a tool. And the tool is to be able to separate, am I in the flesh trying to gratify my sinful nature? Or I am in the spirit, which is about God's purpose for my life. So even if somebody says, hey, let's just go party just tonight. I know you've been backing off on this stuff, but let's just go. I mean, you've been stressed. Come on, let's go. Right? There should be that spiritual thing that comes up and goes, that's against my purpose. Like I have a destiny. So, yeah, I'm not dating you. You don't fit into my purpose. God's called me to some things. See? So, and it says right here, so if he, especially in the Amplified, breaks it down, set their minds on the things of the Spirit is his will and his purpose. I got to get into his will and his purpose. So this is where peer pressure is a like pressure. It's not a love pressure. Peer pressure is when I can set my mind until I get in a group of people. There goes my mindset. It just went right out my ear. And suddenly I'm set on whatever the group is. Ever struggle with that? That you're a group mindset? Well, it's very difficult, and it's something, you think back, I'm not this old, so I don't know that we can think back, but it's you got Little House on the Prairie, right? People lived, we were mapping this out. My husband was raised in North Dakota, and on the farm, they own thousands of acres, right? So to see another person, you had to go over hills with the wagon and walk long distances, and it was like, now you got to your neighbor. So there wasn't a thing of like, so how are we all going to be liked? You were actually individuals. Individuality. Now, they still had the thing that was like, I guess these are the clothes we wear or whatever, but it seems like we run in herds now. And kids were raised by their parents, and now we have, daycares and schools and things like that. So we go everywhere as a group. There's groups of things going on. So what do you look for when you look in the group? How do I fit into the group? And I don't want to not be liked. So it's trained, even in good things like soccer or something like that. We're still looking around. It's very difficult if a child's been wounded to not look around and to see if they're liked. A child who hasn't been wounded just shows up to play soccer. Are you playing soccer too? That's so cool. Yeah, I wore these socks today. What'd you wear? Don't care, right? We don't care because we're an individual. Some kids like their socks up to their knees, some like the ankles. Everybody's okay. But if you get in a group where it's like, nah, you got to run like this. This is how we roll. You roll like this, you're not going to be liked. That's a flesh group. And it usually comes out of woundedness. Yeah? Because out of our woundedness, we'll either dominate other people or we are the victim. So we're either going to dominate or we're the victim. Or we bounce between the two, and that gets crazy. That's a hard week. You're like, I'm the victim. You're like, you know what? And it's hard. Emotionally, you're like, I just need to take a break from this whole thing. So what we're looking at is, what are we pursuing? Do you have that heart that comes up like, I'm in hot pursuit of God because I got a purpose? And every day you wake up, it's like, I just got another piece of my purpose. This is awesome. I'm going to do this because this is what he's telling me to do. I'm leaning towards such and such right now. This is the project I'm working on. Here's the plan. And I know this is going to please him. I'm so loved. I'm so loved. Even before I do anything, I'm so loved. But performance is like, I don't know if I can do that because I don't know if I like myself or other people like me. So I'll probably fail. So that's the victim. And pride would say, I can do whatever I want. I can do this. Don't tell me I can't stop smoking. I'll just blah, blah, blah. And so then we'll get prideful. And then when things don't work, we pull out of the group because we want to be liked by the group. Where a person who's an individual just goes, I love you all. You're all different. right? I'm different. I got certain likes and stuff in my life, certain giftings or whatever. This is how I roll. That's how I say it that way. But that doesn't mean you have to be me and I don't have to be you, but we can hang out. That's hard for Americans to do because we're trained to be, I need a dopamine high. I need the hit. I need to know that I'm that girl or that guy. And I don't care how old we get, it's still there. Addictive behavior has that in the base of it because at the very bottom of it is trauma. And it gets us into the only way I can feel good is if I get a hit. Right on? True that. So to use our now faith, we're going to believe for God for something right now, right? We're just saying we're putting faith into motion. I'm not demanding him when it's got to manifest. I'm just saying my faith's going into motion right now because I'm so stinking loved. I know he's going to take care of it. Well, I don't see anything manifesting right now. I know, but it's on the way. I'm good. I can wait. I'm patient. He's given me the fruit of the Spirit. That is not the addictive behavior language. Like what? Well, how long is this going to take? Why? This is so stupid, right? Because we want it now, and our flesh does that now. So the last thing I want to talk about, just this little bit, is the way our receptors work in our brain when you drug them, and you're like, shh, I'm not acknowledging any pain or any past story. We are partying right now. I'm all about the dopamine. Shut your pie hole. And we say that to our brain when we're using, but we don't know that's what we're doing. Right? So then we decide, hey, my lungs aren't working right, and I'm having heart fibrillation issues, and my digestion's shutting down. Maybe I should stay away from the drug, right? So we get the drug off of us, and suddenly now I'm aware of all the pain that I stored. I don't do pain. Like you guys, we're not doing pain. I do likes. So our drug of choice would be, how quick can I get likes? How quick can I get a dopamine hit? How quick can I find that fast answer? Because if I find that fast answer, then I don't have to deal with this pain. And God's like, I actually made you, so I know how your brain works. You got to go through the fire. You won't get burned. You got to go through the waters. They won't overtake you, but it is going to be painful. Who are you to think you are higher than your master? The Bible says. But addictive behavior or trauma-filled behavior says, I'm not higher than him. I just want it faster. I want it now. I don't do pain. And so without us knowing, we're constantly seeking pain relief. How do I get this gone? I just want it gone. When he wants us to solve it, not just get pain relief. So if you want relief, then you do the, and then you buy the outfits and you do all that stuff. Get yourself a new car. Buy yourself a Harley. You can get a real good dopamine rush off of that. Isn't that interesting? One person will and the next person won't. They're like, that doesn't do it for me. Because everybody has their own pursuit. What does your flesh like to pursue? Sometimes we want to pursue credit. I made that cake. Seriously, no, I made it. I would like some credit. Because it's a dopamine rush. And then when you don't get that, because people are just eating it, but they're not in the mood to be like, oh, this cake's wonderful. Maybe they're on to other things. Who knows what's going on? You're hurt. And now I got to feel pain all over again. I'm not baking any cakes for anything from now on. And we start cutting things out of our life that are actually our gifting because we're looking really hard for what we do to cause a dopamine rush. And that is one of probably the hardest lessons in sanctification. Because when God tells me to do something now, I do it not to please you. I do not preach sermons where it's like, I could tell that this section didn't like it, so I'm not going to say that next time. Because that didn't make me feel very liked. No, I'm saying what he tells me to say. And I'm sorry if you don't like it. Well, no, I'm not, really. I hope it challenges you. But you can decide whatever you want to decide. I'm not controlling you, but I am going to present the word. See, if I was all about the likes, man, we would be seeker sensitive right now. I would be taking surveys of what you like and how long should the service be. And, so-and-so, they don't like it if it goes past 15 minutes. Maybe this is not the church for them. Just saying. But if I was in hot pursuit of a dopamine rush, I would be constantly trying to figure out what the people want and get that so that I could feel good. Well, guess what? You start that monster, you have to feed it. If you start the monster in a relationship where it's like, no, I can caretake, and you're also going to have to feed it. No. And then when it takes you down, you're mad at yourself. First, you're mad at whoever you were feeding. Then you get mad at yourself. Why do I keep doing this? I keep finding the monster to feed, and then I'm stuck cooking for it and cleaning up. And I'm done. I'm just done. I'm done, right? But the thing is, we are made for relationship. So I don't care how much you say you're done, you're still going to feel lonely. You're still going to need people. You're still going to need affirmations. You're still going to need the things that you need to feel loved. But don't look for the things that make you feel liked. It's a trap. It's a popularity trap. Right? Let's stand. Hallelujah. So if you had a bubble and I popped it, I'm not sorry, but I just want to say I love you. Because I had a lot of questions come in about when I go to do the now faith, I know I'm going to choose to believe and stick to that. I'm going to set my mind to stick to this, that, come hell or high water, eventually here, now, I'm starting something that will cause me to stop this certain behavior or whatever. I'm choosing it. I choose it continually now because I set my mind. Well, what they said that comes out of that is this low for some people because you can't do the likes. Now you have nothing to feed your dopamine and you're bored. What really is boredom? If you're coming off of some substance or whatever, it's one of the first things people say is, it's just so boring here. Church is boring. Where I live is boring. There's nothing to do in this town. Somehow people are working like crazy in one town, There's all kinds of activities going, but there's nothing to do. Because what we're really saying is I haven't had a dopamine hit for a while and I don't know how to healthily get one. I only know how to get the quick fix. That's all I know. So, Father, we come before you and we thank you for revelation knowledge. Reveal to us, make it personal, that we can see, where am I in hot pursuit of fleshly things so I can gratify something right now. And Lord, I want to see where I'm supposed to be in the Spirit so that I'm satisfied in you because I have purpose and I'm in your will. That's what it says in Romans 8. We just thank you, Lord. We just thank you that you're going to do this great work in our hearts. And we yield to you and believe that it's going to come to pass. Line upon line, precept upon precept, command upon command. In Jesus' name. The other thing is that's excitingly happening here is we are a part of a free movie every month at the Cambridge Theater, and it's going to be kicking in and starting up here in September on the 18th. This one's at 2:30. So we'll have flyers every month because there's a couple different reasons. One, because it gives us a sense of community when we come together, and it's free. Right? If it's free, it's for me. And so Just gotta say that. And so then when you are able to bring somebody to a positive movie, it'll leave you some money to buy some popcorn or whatever it is you want to do, and then it's just going to be something positive every month that you can say, but we could do that, especially when we feel bored. There's it's stupid. There's nothing going on. There's always stuff like this going on. And so we'll be posting this, and I'll be making more flyers. And please invite a friend. I think they gave us the biggest theater, so I think it's around 200 people. So let's pack that out. Now, this one's a little bit more serious. It's Are the Unborn One of Us? And it does deal with some real-life situations, when it comes to abortion and things like that. Well, people will go, I don't want to go to that. It's boring. Or that's too much. Maybe we need to know how to make some decisions differently. Follow the Spirit, right? Might not be something you bring your 5-year-old to, but you should show up, okay? And then the other thing is, big reminder, log it in the brain. No service here Saturday night. No, nada. Not happening. I still haven't gotten the time. The bus will be out here out front, and we're hoping to get a couple other drivers if you can help with the carpooling. We're trying to get everybody over to Word of Life, which will not be at 7 o'clock like people think. It's going to be at 6 o'clock. And this is not a regular service. This is called The Great Pushback. And it's stuff that we need to know from a man who used to be a part of of Islam. And he's just got all kinds of things laid out, and there's some flyers out on the back of how he's going to expose what's going on now, because he's come out of it and he knew the plan, right? And so wouldn't it behoove us to get with a big dog who knows some things and be like, oh, now I know. Too late, now I know, right? And it'll affect all kinds of areas of your life, because we can just wander around and not know what's to do next and hear the junk that's on the news. Well, really, we should be well informed. And this person's, works in government and stuff, and he's going to lay it out. So 6 o'clock, Word of Life. No meal, no service here. There's not a meal, but we're headed over 6 o'clock, Word of Life. All right? Got it? Woo! Be blessed.